Hello, marketers. Welcome to Hashtag Originals. Originals is for the groundbreakers, real insights, professional learning. And today we have Mohammad Sharik, who is an experienced marketer in brand videos and account management. But before we start, here is an announcement for you. The Marketing Soul has a great marketers club where you can join the network of top CMOs, VPs, founders, and fellow professionals and is growing very fast. So those who have not joined this club, please do join. Link will be in the discussion and available on themarketingsoul.com. So let's initiate our conversation with Sharik. Welcome, Sharik, to Hashtag Originals. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Sachin. It's really, privilege to be here.
Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself? I know what you are doing and how things are.
Yeah. So, well, actually, I am an engineer turned marketer, as in the case of many with many. So, I started my career as a customer support engineer with one of the ATM machine company, wherein I was, involved in handling the installation of multiple ATMs across South Delhi region. So, if you would have visited any South Delhi region, ATMs, there are chances that it was installed by me. So and then then when I got promotion there, I started handling a team. So I thought that I should manage, I should refine and polish my manager skills. So I joined MBA in marketing. So that's how I shifted to marketing. So for the last 8 to 9 years, I've been working in client servicing and account management across various ad agencies, wherein I've been, helping brands tell their stories through different media, be it, brand videos, events, print ads, marketing collaterals, content for social media, or a little bit of PR. And, for the last 1 year or so, I've also started learning some aspects of digital marketing as well, because, I think that it is the need of the hour today. I've been, more active on different social media channels, especially LinkedIn. And I think, and I'm pretty sure of that, that clearly that has started bearing fruits for me. And me being on your platform is the proof of that. So that's me actually. Yeah.
That's right. That's and there are two similarities between you and me. I am also an software engineer turned marketer. So, guys,
Okay, great.
just see how the passion works. So we both are the prime examples for all of the listeners out there. That no, please convert your passion into your profile. You will get a better success. There are good chances of being successful into that. Perfect.
All right.
So
Right.
taking the conversation further, Sharik, no, you share something about event planning and some problems, no event professional face.
Right. Right. So yeah, basically, even planning and the challenges that we face, it's a different world altogether. So while we do event planning, the first and foremost is understanding the brief. Why are we doing it, and what is its objective? Who are the target audience? So be it any planning, any content planning, whether it's video, events, or anything in the world of marketing. First, we need to ask why. Why are we doing it? So event planning also starts with that same question: why? Why are we doing it? We need to understand the objective of it, and what are the target audience that we are actually catering to this. After that, what we do, we decide on a theme that resonates well with our target audience, as well as it caters to our objective also. So once these things are locked in, so we go for venue selection, and then the Reiki happens. So one thing that we should ensure, while doing the Reiki of the, venue, so that we need to ensure that at least one person from all the involved teams, like from the client side, from the account management team, from operation team, as well as from the design team is present over there. Because while our operation team takes care of the measurements and the other logistics, the design team will have a proper idea of its, fitment while, designing any elements. For example, welcome gate or stage or everything. So designing team should have a clear idea while they'll design if they are present at the, venue while rec is being done. So, and one thing that we should always ask the venue for the power output that we would be getting from the venue. Because what happens in at some of places, the diesel gensets are not allowed. So you are dependent only on the power output from the venue for all your power requirements. So these things will play an important role while we are planning and shortlisting our stage. We're planning for the art phase and other engagement activities. So after everything is decided, when we present this plan to the client, it should be present in the form of a journey, basically. So understand that story that you're telling. So you should talk about the guest journey right from the time they step out from their home and then attend the event and until they get back to their homes back. So you need to tell them everything in a sequence, how guests would reach the airport from their home, what would they receive at the airport, and what would they see first when they reach the venue, how their welcome would be, what would be the sequence of programs and presentations, and when they leave from the event, what would be the giveaway they would be taking back with them. So it's a journey that we need to share with the client in a way that he should be able to visualize while you are presenting. So, and once we are executing the event, we need to make sure that we have enough time in hand that all the dry runs can be done on the spot. If the artist performance there, there should be enough time for them to have the rehearsal so that if there is any adjustments need to be made, they can do that. And one thing last but not the least, that expect the unexpected, because it's very rare that any event goes on smoothly without any glitches. So glitches happen, we need to be prepared for that and react sensibly, without panicking. So if anything happens the first thing that we need to do is we should inform the client, make them understand why what is the reason behind it, and react accordingly. So I'll share with you one example what happens with us and how we've actually dealt with it. So during our event, the lights at one side of the stage went off. What we did first, is that we redirected some of the lights from other side to that side of the stage, and to make the light effect even. No, obviously the light was low, but it was evenly distributed on the stage. Then we contacted the client, informed them, and then during the tea break we rectified the issue. So that's how we managed to pass on whatever glitches we could have faced. So things happen, actually. Anything can happen because we're dealing with so many wires, machines. The fault can happen anywhere. So all in all, we should be ready for the glitches and react to it accordingly if anything happens. So that's what my learning has been in this event.
You are absolutely right, and in fact, two takeaways, important one, and the kind of nitty gritty you have mentioned. One is the power output, which is very important in the large scale
Yes.
events, and the second,
Yes.
the last what you summed up about expect the unexpected. No, we
Right.
always say in sales and marketing, वो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, एक भसुड़ी तो होती होती है. तो
Right.
if it is
Right.
not happening, just check whether everything is correct or not. So it goes to that level, and really
Right.
appreciate your answer on that. It is wonderful. So moving
Yeah.
ahead,
Yeah.
since you are into B2B sales, no, for the as a simplest layman language, what is B2B sales, and what is your approach, no, for effective account management?
So basically, I mean, if you talk about B2B sales, I would, define it as a way like when, you are selling something to business, business is selling something to other entities. So that is sale. But, when you're talking about, I'm really sorry. So, so when you talk about B2B sales, I think we should not call it a selling. It should be providing a solution to a problem at hand. So basically, it's more of a consultative approach that we take while we are in the B2B environment. So we, understand their requirement. We take, and we listen to them carefully. We understand their requirement. We ask questions, and then we provide solutions to them. So that's what I would, define B2B sales, or maybe B2B, consultation that we can talk about it. So coming back to the effective account management, I think the first and the very first and foremost thing for an effective account management is to know your brand or the company thoroughly. So basically, you need to have a clear idea about their vision, what their mission is, what do they want to achieve with the products and services that they are promoting, and what are the problems that they're solving, the product functionalities, their positioning, and also what marketing activities they have done in the past, what has been the tonality of those marketing activities, how they have performed for them. So you need to be knowing all these things basically. Also, we should always remain in touch with the client. So we should listen to them carefully, and provide solutions as and when they need whatever they need, and not always what they want. So basically, you need to understand the client's requirements. Sometimes what happens that what client wants is not actually what he needs. So we need to actually understand the requirement from their the discussion that we've had together. So whichever brands that we are actually handling, think of it as your own brand. When you and also when you get a brief of any new activity from the client, so before passing it on to your creative team, research on it, what different things can be done for that, add some value, add your own inputs, and then give it to the creative team, and then brainstorm with it. So when you and also when you go back with the campaign idea, go back to your client with the campaign idea. So be thorough with each and every point mentioned in that PPT that you're presenting. So every point needs to have some relevance with the ultimate objective of the activity. Also, the other thing is that we need to be updated about what's happening in the market, find out new ways how the brand can be benefited, and share it with the client. Other than that, we need to keep our eyes open. What the competition is doing, what marketing activities are they doing, and we should apprise our clients of it, and propose some of the ideas what we can also do to keep our brand visibility, or increase it, or maybe keep our or increase our ultimate market share ultimately. So basically, we have to work like an extended arm of the client's marketing team, if we need to have the effective account management.
That's right. In fact, the simplest point which you mentioned about before passing it to the creative team, add your value is the really gist actually
Right.
you have really spoken about, and I loved that. Wonderful. So Sharik, a little bit more about on the same context. It's a digital world now. We are into digital world. So what would be your approach to connect with new B2B leads?
Okay. So like you're talking about generating more leads in B2B world,
Absolutely.
or connecting once you got the lead, or connect. Okay. So generating more leads in that. So I mean, to be honest, digital world or not, my approach for generating leads has not changed much actually. It's pretty much the same that we used to do. 3 years back, we're still doing the same. So I'll tell you some of the things that we do for generating leads, and we'll still be doing that. So direct emails is one of the ways that we used. We used to adopt earlier also, and we still are using that. But obviously, the format of those emails keeps on changing. It's not always that sales type format. We share some articles about the current trends in the market. Then sometimes we share about the projects we've executed and how our clients have benefited from them. And sometimes it's like that traditional email of like, we do these things, and if you require, please get in touch with us. So one of the ways that we try and adapt is direct emails. Then there is direct calling is another way that we apply for lead generation. So what we do, it's not like that we call each and everybody. What we do, we research and find out companies that are active in terms of marketing activities. or the industries that are supposed to be active depending on the time in a year. For example, if it's a it's a if you want to approach these household appliances companies like fans and these AC manufacturers, then what would be the good time to approach them is that November and December, because that's when their planning for marketing activities start. Because their marketing activities start from March onwards in India. So their planning for marketing activities start in November and December. So that's when would be the right time to connect with them. So we identify companies in different according to the time in the year, and then we approach them. We prepare a call pitch and then approach them through their board line numbers. So the third approach that we follow is obviously social media, and that's the most used way of approaching the client. So there we adopt two approaches. One is that we often publish and promote our case studies so that people see them. They go through it, and if they have a related requirement, they ping us back, and that's how it gets done, and we actually take it forward. The other approach is that we keep on scanning the social media, especially the LinkedIn, and keep a close watch on any updates or inquiry for the requirement, because nowadays what people do, the clients, they update and they post about their requirements also. So we keep a close watch on those kind of requirements, and then we as soon as we see it, we react to it, and then we take it forward. So till now it has been going well. We are able to close deals like these only. And after we get the leads, what we do, we call them, we fix up an online meet, because obviously nowadays physical meeting is not possible. We fix up an online meeting to discuss about the requirement, and we take it forward. So one thing here that I want to add, that the online meeting has definitely given us a way to connect with people remotely and merge boundaries. And also it's playing a savior for people like us in this pandemic. But there is, the effectiveness of meeting has reduced. We have, now less opportunity to, create that long-lasting relationship than we used to have in physical meetings or the physical meetings provide. Though, the reach has widened, but its effectiveness has reduced. That's what I.
That's right, and I think maybe after maybe 2-3 quarters, no, when the scene will be a little normal, I think the game will begin again with respect to field visits and meetings and all, isn't it?
Right.
Perfect,
Right.
great. So taking this conversation forward, no, uh, of course there is a branded video content. So what are the different type of
Right.
branded video content we can have and kind of usage according to it?
So basically, there are n number of types of video content available nowadays. You can say that your films and the content on OTT platforms can also be branded in a way that it can attract various sponsors in terms of brands, as per their relevance in the film. But I would give you a few examples of the content that is created by brands, basically to promote their products or services. So we can actually categorize them into two categories. One is for social media videos. The other could be traditional videos. So while we talk about social media videos, the videos that are created for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So for all these, we for all these social media videos, like we need to make sure that we start strong and tell our story with and without sound also. So meaning like there should be captions, there should be graphics, and they play a key part of the in the equation. So while Facebook, there the differences in these platforms also. While we make videos for different platforms, for example, Facebook allows longer videos, and but Twitter allows the duration up to only 140 seconds, while the Instagram allows only up to 60 seconds. So irrespective of the platform, you need to win over your user in the first 10 to 15 seconds, because you need to make sure that it has that hook in the first 10 to 15 seconds only. Otherwise, the user will actually leave your content and go away. So also, yes. Also, the formats, you need to take care of the formats as well, because, for example, Facebook allows vertical as well as horizontal formats of the videos to be seen. While Twitter, crops it to vertical, and Instagram, crops it to the square-shaped video. So we need to set our captions and graphics and visuals in a way that when we don't lose anything of significance while these videos are being cropped, actually. So these are the videos that are, that we make for social media videos. Then there are traditional type of videos. Traditional type of videos would comprise of like corporate video is one, wherein you talk about the culture of your company, who you are, what you do. So you should show the facilities that you have. So also these in corporate videos, you can also have interviews of the key people and can also have key stories and people to show off what really actually makes the company tick. So you can showcase your facilities, your the functioning of the machinery that you have, the production capability that you have. So all these things can be shown in a corporate video. Then there are interviews. So what happens in interviews that you can, your thought leadership with simple sound bites. So you can actually, convey your message with simple sound bites. Sometimes, you tell a story on your own words. For example, any senior member of the management can actually tell a story in their own words. So whatever they are doing, but we need to show that whatever they're doing, they need to make sure that story is interesting, and the spokesperson that we have chosen is credible. Because in ever connected world nowadays, it's very easy to detect any faults that if we have done something. Then there are videos like how to videos. So these are videos when people want to know more about your product or services, then there's nothing better than a demonstration of your product. So you basically showcase the demonstration of your product, how it works, and explain about it. Then there are product videos. So product videos are something that these are basically the short commercials that highlight your product's best features. So anytime a prospect might look at a product catalog, so he actually goes with the product video. So product videos is best suitable for any persons who are actually interested in your product and wants to know more about the product. So wherein you talk about the features, you talk about the functionalities, you talk about how it works. Then there comes explainer videos. So explainer videos are, when you have a complex topic, like you have a software startup using animating graphics is an easy way to explain your value proposition over there. So what you do that you explain the need, who it helps, and how it works in all in the first minute basically. But there is a weakness to explainer videos also. The weakness is that they only showcase your abstract idea. So not they don't show its real world impact because these are animated videos. So ideally, what you should do, actually, you should follow it up with the testimonial videos. Testimonial videos, like the other category of the videos, testimonial videos, or case studies in the form of videos, basically. So what you do, so you actually get your best customers or best clients talk about your products and services and share their happy experiences with that. So these videos work wonders because there are few things are more credible than real people giving real feedback about your products and services.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Then there
since,
are other type of videos. Yes.
please.
Yeah. So I mean, this is more technology driven 360-degree videos that now they have come. So this is another great idea that takes, but it takes too much of time to execute. So I mean, these are great way to take a viewer somewhere. For example, you can take your viewer to a house tour, to your new building, or to your venue. Basically, what happens here, at any given point of time of the video, you can actually navigate through a cursor and can have a 360-degree view of any particular frame. So that's the technology that has reached to that level that we can showcase a 360-degree view of any particular facility that we have.
That's interesting. That's interesting, in fact. And in a very brief point, if you can make us understand, since attention spam is very slow in the digital world, it's merely 8 seconds when someone scroll through your Facebook or Instagram post. So, what ingredients you
Mhm.
would be specifically mentioning while making the branded video?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll have to go back somewhere. So basically, the to answer to that question is that obviously, I mean, attention span is decreasing day by day. It is like I think 8 seconds nowadays. So the very important aspect is that it should be able to evoke some emotion. Uh, a video should be able to evoke some emotions, and in the emotions could be your surprise element. So as was done in Threads ad with Rahul Dravid. So the fact that it became viral was that it showed Rahul in an avatar that was completely opposite to his actually established personality. So there was a surprise element to that. That's why it got viral. Then there could be a feeling of love, then affection, empathy, sympathy, or fear. Even this fear actually, most of the insurance ads do that. So they inculcate a fear of what if something happens to you, what happens to your family then. So other route that we can take is the humor that we can adopt. We can build a story depending upon a target audience basically. So and then that brings for the fact that we need to understand our audience as was the case when I was explaining about the account management and event planning also. So we need to understand our audience first. We need to study them. Where do they go? Their liking, their disliking. What activities do they indulge in? What menus do they explore for entertainment? Accordingly, actually, we should make our content. So we should be, making content for a particular target audience. We cannot actually make our video content that caters to everybody because we cannot please everybody. In order to please everybody, you'll probably end up pleasing nobody. So that is so. And if it is for digital medium, it should make sense with or without audio also. For example, it should have the captions, it should have the graphics, it should have the text to bring home the points basically. Because what happens that we cannot predict where and when our user could be consuming our content. It could be on a railway platform, in a crowded mall, or anywhere. So we should make use of these captions and text along with the audio. The other
Excellent.
thing is that it should be responsive. So responsive videos are the ones that actually adapt the aspect ratio as per the screen size. So on which it is being viewed basically. So if the aspect ratio is set for one particular platform, it gives black lines on the edges when viewed on some other platform. So that makes the whole experience bad, and many it may put off our user. The other thing that I think nowadays, being in digital, people, the advent of a smartphone, it has actually the technology and the smartphones has reached all corners of the world. So even remotest of the areas are using a smartphone. So the content consumption across regional languages has increased multiple. So we need to make sure that our content that we are making is vernacular. So it is dubbed in multiple languages so that users are able to see it in their preferred languages with a click of a button, basically. The other point that I would put forward is that it is though little debatable that where should we actually reveal our brand identity in the video, whether it should be in the first 10 to 15 first 5 seconds, or it should be in the middle, because some argue if we reveal in the first 5 seconds, and some argue that actually it may put off the user because he'll think that it is an ad from some brand. Then he may put off the user. And if we reveal it too late, then we may not be able to reach that audience. We may not be able to to be visible with him, because he may actually skip the video before our we have revealed the brand. But I think what in my understanding, whatever experience that I've had and I've learned so far, is that if we are using we are making our video for platforms like Facebook, Insta, Twitter, then we should reveal our brand identity in the first 5 seconds only. So that means even if the user watches our video till 5 seconds, he is actually exposed to our brand. While we are making a video for YouTube, then in YouTube, what happens that there's it's more of a more captive audience that goes on YouTube. So we can actually take the liberty of revealing our brand at the later stage. Also.
That's right. Absolutely. So moving
Yeah.
towards our last leg of this conversation, um, uh, I have a question related to your experience. So what has been the top
Mm-hmm.
learnings till now you have, which is helping you so that
Okay.
the community members, the your colleagues, those who are no will be watching your video, will be getting inspired through you, can have some sense of direction for themselves. Please.
Okay. So yeah. So I mean, whatever learning that I've had, I'll put forward over here. So I think the most important learning that I have been able to have is that to be able to succeed anywhere, I mean, be it in business or job or your personal life, one should be a patient listener. So listening skill is very important to be successful anywhere, professionally or personally. So we need to inculcate this habit of listening to people patiently, to understand them properly. So if it's your client explaining something, because as Adi mentioned, the client may not want what he needs. Until unless you listen to them carefully, you cannot understand their requirements, and won't be able to provide an appropriate solution. So one is that. So other than that, you should always be a good student of life. We should never stop learning, keep on learning new things. In order to be a good marketer or any professional, we should be updated with the latest trends actually, in the market. We need to be aware of what's happening around us. I mean, go online, connect with the people, learn from them, read books, join online courses. There are many, courses available for free, but we need to be, learning new things each and every day. So second thing that I would say is the learning should never stop for any professional or person. Other than that, I think, I mean, if you need help, then don't hesitate to reach out to people and ask for help. I mean, also vice versa, if someone else needs help also, and if you are capable of providing that help, then reach out to them and offer your help. So see, as they say, man is a social animal. Getting help and helping others, working, strengthening our relationship with people. So this gives us confidence, and we feel relaxed. We feel happy when we help someone, and we feel peaceful. So these are things that are that look so small but have huge impact on our road into success or in our personal life anywhere. The third thing is that, and this is the, I mean, most important thing that I would say, that never over promise and make wrong commitments to anyone. I mean, be it your client or being professional or even with or personal. Because it happens very often in the field that I am in. So, but I have learned that you should never ever over promise or make wrong commitment. So professionally, even if it means losing on the project at hand, you should never over promise, because you can win projects again, but you cannot win people, you cannot win trust, you cannot win relationships again. So if they're gone forever. Other thing like and other thing is that if your products don't sell, the stories do. So simply describing the product features and functionality won't sell the product. So it's basically it's not enough. We need to weave a story around a product to humanize it. We should talk about why the product was made, what are some of the challenges that were faced while it was made, how the product is going to make our TV's life better. So this way, our potential customers will be able to relate with the message and trust the product in a way. So these are some of the learnings that I've been able to get during my career so far.
Thank you so much, Sharik, for this wonderful learning experience sharing with us. And I love the point, no, don't overpromise, because that's been marketers or
Yes,
salesmen, sales professionals been
yes,
no, reminded for the same. So thank you for
right,
sharing
right.
this wisdom of knowledge. So before you go, I would like to have your thoughts on the Marketing Soul Community Initiative. What is your take?
I think it's wonderful initiative actually. I would say so. It has provided a platform for passionate marketers to come together. To share views, share their experiences and learning. So the fact that it doesn't only cater to the established marketers, but to budding marketers or people like me also. Makes it quite unique actually. So it will definitely help people like me to network with the who's who of marketing, learn from them and keep up with the latest marketing trends. So a fantastic initiative. Kudos to you, Sachin, for that. And I wish you all the best for this particular initiative of yours.
Uh, Thank you, Sharik, for your kind words. And I'm really looking forward to build this community, the Great Marketers Club that we have launched. And I'm
Yes.
sure with this, we will be growing up leaps and bounds with the support of all of you. And but today, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and giving the loads of wisdom and the intellect that you could have and sharing with the community members. So thank you so much once again,
Yes.
Mohammed Sharik.
Pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
Thank you.